Is Dave Aranda one of the leading candidates for the UCLA job?
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor. It's a Wicker Wednesday. Sydney Wicker of KCEN joining us. It's all brought to you by FanDuel and part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. Sydney Wicker alongside. So jam-packed show for you. We talked about Kalani Sitake on this show being a candidate for UCLA and why that's a bad take. Well, now Dave Aranda is probably at the top of UCLA's list. We'll tell you why that could happen and why it probably won't. Then, of course, we will have the Big 12's biggest winners and losers from week 3. And Joseph had it with the amazing Technicolor Dream Coat. There might be a different kind of coat that can save this Bears season. All that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. Sydney, it's a weird one. UCLA, noted Big Ten powerhouse, noted Big Ten stalwart, fires Deshaun Foster 3 games into the season. They're one of the biggest jokes in college football right now. I mean, just blown off their own field by New Mexico in front of dozens of people. It was really, really bad. And the first name that we kind of heard thrown out there was Kalani Sitake. As I talked about with Drake Toll and Lockdown Big 12, that's not going to happen, man. He's been at BYU, his alma mater, for 10 years, and he's just coming off maybe his best season. So why would that happen? But now The Athletic and the New York Times putting out there that maybe one of the top candidates for UCLA is actually a different Big 12 coach, Dave Aranda. Your reaction?
Surprised. When you sent me the article, I was like, there's no way this could be real. But then I started reading it and I was like, it kind of makes sense, which is what surprised me, I think, more than anything. I didn't realize much about his roots and ties that he had to California. So there is a lot of the personal side of it that always can impact a coach's decision. But yeah, definitely surprised, as I think a lot of Baylor fans would feel too, hearing that.
And this will certainly be divisive too, because I think we're all surprised, but I think some of the fan base is probably thinking, okay, go ahead. You know what I mean? I think there is some of that amongst the Baylor fans. Here's the write-up, by the way, Sydney. Here it is. Baylor coach Dave Aranda is a Southern California native coaching in the Big 12 at a program with upper-level resources. Love to hear that. Aranda is very cerebral and probably would play well in a strong academic environment. It's not playing all that well in a different strong academic environment, but okay. He's 33 and 31 since taking the job in 2020 and coached himself off the hot seat in Waco last year. In his second season in 2021, his team went 12-2, finished number 5, but it's been as much down as up there. That's a sentence. I'm not smart enough for the New York Times. I wouldn't be shocked if he was intrigued by the thought of bringing his family back to the West Coast. He grew up a UCLA fan and used to take his wife to games. I don't know the journalism they went and found that out. Love to be a part of it. Clearly way above my pay grade. First thing on that, wants to take his family back to the West Coast. I think he's got a daughter in college and he's got a son in high school. I think there's another kid in there. Dave Aranda has not been in California in 25 years. Those kids didn't grow up in California.
Yeah.
They grew up in Utah, Wisconsin, and Texas. Okay. It's not, and Baton Rouge. So it's not like he's like, oh, kids, finally, we'll reunite you with your middle school friends and go back to California. That is not the case. And Dave has not been in California for a long time. He's lived in Lubbock more recently than that. Do you think that angle's getting played a bit too much here, or how do you buy into it? Because you mentioned it as well.
Yeah, a little bit too much. I think, I lived in Michigan from when I was born until I was 12, and it's still a place that I call home, but I only go and visit twice a year. You'll always have that place that you've spent time at that means something to you, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily always chasing to get back there. I think it's an angle that makes sense, and I get it. I think it's a little bit much, but I think for Dave Aranda, it's a really interesting position to be in because while there is a personal tie, UCLA is a big program.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be kind of a big deal. But I don't know if that's something he wants.
Well, on that vein, let me give you the tail of the tape here. This was a great tweet from Stuart Mandel a few days ago when the Deshaun Foster firing was announced. He says Deshaun Foster had to go, but UCLA's problems are much deeper than the head coach, with no easy solution. A $200 million athletic deficit over the last 6 years, no NIL pot of gold, complete fan apathy, and Big Ten competitors way more invested in football than them. He says, good luck to the next head coach. So having heard all of that, we don't know what Dave Aranda's buyout is. We've heard rumors somewhere between 10 and 15 million, which is high for a school like Baylor. But even regardless of that, knowing those things that Stuart Mandel just listed about UCLA, knowing what we know about Baylor in terms of the resources, the conference, where they're at right now, what recruiting looks like for the future, in September of 2025, is Baylor a better job than UCLA?
Yeah. Hands down.
Like, the BYU thing, like, no doubt because of the resources they can put in here. But even Baylor, even though it's been up and down under Dave Aranda, I look at that UCLA situation right now, and I don't know if I'd be clamoring for it if I was the Baylor head coach.
It's been very obvious that UCLA has kind of been up in the air. We've seen them compete well in other sports, but when it's come to football, UCLA's been a team that's kind of been fighting to be known again.
Any kind of relevant, yeah.
Yeah. And I think ever since they joined the Big Ten, it's not, I don't want to say it's gotten worse, but it definitely hasn't gotten better for them. Like, it's been tough. And I think when you think about what Dave Aranda has built at Baylor and what he has coming in, he has such good recruiting classes that he just continues to keep bringing in. And he's been able to really build something here, although every season maybe hasn't been reflective of that. He has really started to build something. And I think he's started to feel how much he's built of that on his own and like what he's been able to do with his staff, which really speaks volumes. And if you go to UCLA, you're starting from scratch.
That said, if we're mid-November and this Baylor team that was once very promising is sitting there at 6-4, are the Baylor fans then saying, go ahead, go to UCLA?
I think even right now, sitting with a 2-1 record, you're already thinking that.
Based off the body of work, I can't blame a Baylor fan for thinking like that.
No.
Again, 12 months ago, this dude was fired, like absolutely fired. It just didn't happen. He was so fired, though. The last thing, and one of my favorite college football analysts, John Kurtz, talked about this, about Satake and Aranda and kind of comparing them side by side as to why Aranda might be different. And the article that we referenced from ESPN the other day said the same thing about Kalani Satake being like, this could be a time for a good reset button. And I'm like, why does he want a reset button? This is a good thing. He doesn't need a reset button. But if Dave Aranda, if this season does not get to 9 or 10 wins, that dude might want a reset button. He might really want to take a look in the mirror and try it free hit somewhere else. Start with completely blank canvas, you know? It feels like it could become that way. But that's,
I think so for sure.
But that's assuming that Baylor doesn't live up to expectations, which we don't really have reason to believe that they won't yet. But that's going to become a thing. You know, UCLA is probably not going to hire a coach till December, unless they go kind of the Joey McGuire Texas Tech route. So any bad performance, any answer that fans don't like, that question is going to pop up again and again and again. And it's going to pop up from the UCLA side if Baylor does continue to win. That this is not a story that's going away, and would love to hear Dave's take on it, but that's not going away. So Let me know what you guys think about the possibility of Dave Aranda going to UCLA. How would you feel about it as a Baylor fan? Do you think that's a reasonable option for Dave? Would you rather want to stay here at Baylor? Let me know in the comments section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because when we come back, Sydney is going to tell us who the biggest winners and losers were in the Big 12 in what was a pretty successful weekend for the Big 12 in week 3. We'll have our winners and losers next on Locked On Baylor. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Mazda. Man, what good people they are over there. Let me just get to the ad read first, okay? Thank you. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. They deliver confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breath work, athletes like you and me, you are sweating all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every single model. Like the players out there representing the Bears on the field, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode is also brought to you by DoorDash. Boy, do they deliver, man. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on who delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order, this player delivered when it mattered the most. Let's break it down. For the Baylor Bears, I'm going to give it to Micah Gifford. How about that? He gets to be in the post-game press conference because he delivered in a big way. This is a dude who came in as a wide receiver, started playing special teams, and in the spring, Dave Aranda says, hey, I want you to play corner. And when the pressure was on him in this game, he came through, had a TFL and his first career interception. No hesitation, no delay. Micah Gifford took over, and he delivered. And just like Gifford delivered for the Baylor Bears, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order. If you stack it up all season, you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Back here, Locked On Baylor, Wicker Wednesday, Sydney Wicker of KCEN Channel 6, alongside myself, Cam Stuart, host of Locked On Baylor. Let's talk about the winners and losers from the weekend, Sydney. This is a different one. Last week, we had too many options for losers. This week, it wasn't like that. In fact, the Big 12 on Saturday, I believe, went undefeated. So it was a little bit tougher to pick the loser from this section, I would think. But without any further ado, do you want to start negative or positive?
Let's start with the negative just to get it.
Good, because I already built up the loser part. Okay, go ahead.
Know,
Sydney Wicker's loser of the week.
We can't bury the lead here.
Yeah.
My loser of the week has to be Colorado. Week 1, I kind of wanted them to be my biggest loser. I just feel like there was other losers to pick from, but it just feels like same old Colorado. Like, we're not seeing anything different here, and I know it's different and they've got a lot of pieces that they're working with and they're kind of in a rebuild mode, but even when they had guys last season, they still couldn't get things done. Even when you hyped up Travis Hunter and Shedeur and had all that, still couldn't get. You barely made it to a bowl game. Like, it wasn't.
Didn't make the Big 12 championship. Yeah.
Yeah. None of the goals you were wanting to achieve, you didn't even really get close to. And coming into last week, losing to Houston and just losing pretty badly too. They just really weren't in that game from the jump. So it feels like Colorado is really in a situation where they've got to evaluate some things, and it doesn't seem like things are good in Boulder.
That was an interesting game in the buildup, because I looked at it and I said, okay, like, there's still a lot of question marks about both these teams, but whoever wins will probably establish themselves as like a dark horse, which sounds like an oxymoron, establishing yourself as a dark horse. But you would kind of be in that next tier in the Big 12 outside of the true contenders. And Houston made it look easy. I mean, they did. They made it an easy decision that you would put them in the second tier. I think Connor Weichman's playing well. I think that defense is legit again under Willie Fritz. So yeah, that's that would definitely make sense. And basically Houston, who was 5-7 last year, showing or 4-8, it might have been 4-8, showing Colorado like you don't belong with us right now.
Yeah.
That would definitely make for a big loser. Let's look a little bit more half glass full though. Who you got as a winner?
My winner of the week has to go out to West Virginia. I know they were your loser last week.
What a comeback, though.
What a comeback.
We love that, man.
Yeah, and I was really happy to see that. I felt like they were ready to prove something. I know you had mentioned game day was possibly going to go out there. I feel like they had to show everybody why. Maybe they should have. An overtime game, pulling it out at the end, beating a good Pitt team.
Their big rival. Like that's their rivalry game. Yeah.
So I felt like it was a good win for them. Felt like it was much needed too at the perfect time.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're my winners this week. West Virginia.
I should have taken it into account that Rich Rod, I like Rich Rod, and he's such an old
Michigan fan,
guy.
I cannot relate.
Well, yeah, I get
it was rough. It was a very rough time.
I definitely get that.
And my childhood was ruined for a couple years. But
anyway, Rich Rod is like so old school guy. Like he would throw up bulletin board material for sure. And so I'm certain he was telling his guys all week, no one believes in you. You guys, this season is worthless. Cam Stuart made you the Big 12 loser of the week. I think that was yelled around.
That was probably played 1,000 times in the
facility quite a bit. And I loved that for West Virginia. I really did. I'm glad to see that they're a little bit in a better spot because I didn't think it was going to be good after the whole Jameer White thing. So, okay. My loser this week was tough to do in the sense that I wanted to do these guys last week. And it's like, how many times could they be this surprising loser? And that is, of course, Kansas State. I mean, there are a few bigger losers in the country right now than Kansas State. UCLA is one of them. But, I mean, you talk about a team with real ambition going into this year that had us all hoodwinked. They're 0-2. They're the first 0-2 team in Big 12 play. They lost to a team that might be a winner here in the next couple of weeks in Arizona. They looked definitely better than they thought they were going to this year. Same with Houston, neither of which are going to be my winner just because we've talked about them a little bit here. But Kansas State, I mean, they can't get out of their own way right now. That is a mess. They are last year's Oklahoma State. Remember last year, Oklahoma State, they had made the Big 12 championship the year before, and we said, oh my gosh, they're bringing all these guys back. They could be a college football playoff team, and they were horrible. That could be Kansas State this year. The winner for me is one that I don't often give a winner to, and that is Utah. I didn't know with Utah going into this year, Sydney. Yeah. I just didn't.
I kind of doubted them too, honestly.
Yeah, I thought they were being overrated.
Yeah, me too.
I really thought they were going to be overrated. And like, we'll see Devin Dampier for a whole season and see how that works out. But he's been better than I thought he was going to be to start. And I thought Utah, 100% was going to win this game, but I did love that 23.5 Wyoming. It's a tough place to play, man. Teams go up there. It's like ask Tech, man.
Yeah.
You go up to Laramie, and I think it was a struggle in the first quarter for Utah, but they ended up winning big in this game. And not to hype up a win over Wyoming too much, but you went into a place where other Power 4 teams, other Big 12 teams have struggled, and you looked pretty darn good, and your defense looked pretty dominant and didn't really keep Wyoming in the game in any sense. So that Utah defense looks legit, and they might well have the quarterback, Sydney.
Yeah, Laramie's one of those places where you never want to overlook playing there. Nobody's got anything better to do in Laramie on a Saturday night than go out there. So you're always usually going to have a tough crowd to play in front of. I can say that. I've been quite a few times. I've seen it with my own eyes. Even volleyball games, like they pack that place because they've got nothing better to do. But yeah, I think that was a really big statement for Utah. Wyoming's definitely not a team to ever overlook. I feel like they're always very relevant in the Mountain West Conference. They're always usually a pretty decent team. I know last year wasn't a really good year for them, but I don't know. I think they're always tough. You're always going to get a really tough team when you play Wyoming. So Utah, I think, earned some respect after that one. They're in the top 25. I think they showed why they're a top 25 team. And they're definitely one that I think has surprised me so far, because I've kind of thought that's not a team I was really worried about. And now I'm kind of starting to scratch my head and be like, oh,
They're
maybe just a little bit worried.
I think they're right up there with some of the top contenders so far. And it's early returns. They haven't played a Big 12 game yet. This weekend, we'll learn a lot.
Yes.
Tech and Utah, that I'm going to be glued to that game.
It's gonna be so good.
I think whoever comes out of that has a real shot to make it to Arlington.
For sure.
But it's September. We'll see. I'll give one more comment or compliment to Wyoming. They can pull off Brown. It's not an easy thing to do. I live steps away from a D3 school that wears Carolina blue and brown, and it sucks. Wyoming pulls it off. It's not my first choice, but they pull it off.
There's something about it. It just fits.
With the gold, too, that's old Boston Bruins stuff for me. That works. That works. Anyway, coming up next, we'll tell you what does work for this Baylor defense. Ain't a lot of things that's worked for this Baylor defense this year, but they might have a second wind in them because of this decision made by Baylor's coaching staff. That's next on Locked On Baylor. But it comes after we talk to you about our good pals. They're all good pals here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Our good pals at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you could end up leaving money on the table, not in your wallet. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is here for you. They do the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDON, COLLEGE. So Baylor's defense was maligned after their performance against Stanford. I maligned it as well, which is weird to do when you only give up 7 points and you force 4 turnovers. And the defense was okay. It was really the offense I actually had more of a problem with, even though they scored 42 and won by 35. That's where we're at right now. That's just a little peek into the miserable life I can lead sometimes. But looking at this Baylor defense, we've obviously been asking for more from them against FBS teams. They're still giving up 41.5 points per game against the teams that are actually in the same level of competition as them. So that's still not great, but they did force 4 turnovers. And that's something that we've been begging for from this Baylor team. Sydney, you were there on Saturday.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the bear coat comes out on the sideline, and that got the players fired up. Did you expect anything like that? I mean, they were loving that.
So there's been talks about this bear coat, but none of us have really understood what exactly is the bear coat, what's the story behind it. We needed more info. And it's such a fun rally for this group. I think of all the fun traditions that baseball teams do or whatever, how they have silly things in the dugout. This really feels to be it, and something that's really ignited the defense and something worth celebrating over. It's really goofy, but I think that just plays into it even more and makes it more fun. But you have the bear coat in its full form when it's 90 degrees. Yeah. Who else wants to put that thing on other than Baylor? I mean, okay.
Oh, it looks cool, but golly, man, you couldn't catch me. I mean, you actually probably would catch me dead in that if it was 95 degrees. If I'm not drinking enough water. Anyway, that's kind of the positive look on this. Here's what Dave Aranda had to say about it, because it does bring up something that can be looked at very negatively, and I will probably look at it pretty negatively.
We have a strength coach, and I think that's his bear coat, and so I think he's got other coats that are like that, and we were talking, my voice and my excitement level is not getting it done, takeaways. And so we've got to find some other way to kind of get guys excited. And one of the guys mentioned, well, Vic's got this bear coat and we can take pictures with it. Now that just doesn't make any sense to me, but they apparently really like that. So we'll try to continue that.
Two main things that stand out to me. Vic Valoria apparently has more than one of those coats. His Dave said it there. He's got a couple of those
I
coats.
want to see the full closet.
You never know when when the moment's going to strike where you need to wear that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You never know when you're going to be invited to an
Always got to be
event.
ready. I mean, if they ever happen to play Colorado in like November or whatever, you might need it.
I probably could have used it in September last year.
Probably.
The fans that went up there. The other thing in the middle there, pure ammunition for the people that are not big Dave Aranda fans, which is I'm with how I'm talking about him this week. It's sounding like I'm in that group. I'm somewhere in between, but he says in there, my voice just isn't working. My level isn't working. That can't create turnovers. Look, we're dealing with college football players here. They're kids. They do love these things, with that or the belt or a bell on the sideline or whatever, a necklace, turnover chain like that. They do like that. They do feed off that. But is that a worry that your head coach is saying that I can't get them to force turnovers?
Yeah, of course
Kinda
it is.
right?
I mean, you are the defensive voice. You've made that very clear. That's not a good sign. I'm thankful for this bear coat. Maybe that is the saving grace. Any
Maybe that's
Baylor fan.
the interim if Dave leaves for UCLA, the bear coat will coach the defense.
Yeah, something, or maybe they'll just have a bear on the sidelines, anything.
Some fans would welcome that.
I'm sure they would. But yeah, that's not a good sign. I know there's so many programs like you had mentioned that do fun things. They've got the belt, they've got some kind of celebration. Defense thrives off of that. They are one of the groups who, when they get a big sack or something, they're up there, they're celebrating it big time. And turnovers, that's a really fun thing to celebrate. A lot of those guys, they might only have one or two in their entire careers. That's something that should be celebrated. And that really can be such a huge spark for the team at any given point. So having something to celebrate with could be key and dire, but I don't love the fact that you aren't maybe celebrating with them enough or hyping them up enough. And I mean, it doesn't help when he delivers it in the flat tone that we do here. So you're like, okay, well, is that what we're saying on the sidelines? Because it kind of makes sense. But it's funny because I keep saying, I'm like, I would love to be a fly on the wall for who Dave Aranda is off of the field, because something's got to be working here for him to land these recruits to do something. There's got to be this side of Dave that we haven't seen. And I want to see it so bad. I'm like, just give us a sneak peek for 30 seconds of who this Dave Aranda is that lands these guys, who has these conversations, because it has to be there.
I'm going to lean on my time as a fan, because I heard about this for years with Bill Belichick. People would say, oh, no, he's actually really funny. I'm like, you're kidding, though. He hasn't shown us any inkling towards that at all. And that's why Dave, you hear, Dave will get on us. Dave will yell, and Dave's really great with the recruits. I'm like, really? I don't think he's a bad guy. I'm not saying that. It's we just haven't seen anything really close to it. That's all. So look, if that's what's gonna improve your defense, then fine. I wish it didn't have to be a coat, but if that's what it is, we'll take it.
It's so unique, though. I'll give them that.
It is. Not many other teams can do the bear coat.
I can't say I've seen it.
It wouldn't make much sense. I'll have to go catch a Maine Black Bears game this year and see if they're doing it. Bowdoin Polar Bears up in Maine, maybe they're doing it. That'd be
get back
cool.
to us on that one, Kim.
A polar bear coat. They'll probably come down and play tough, so I'll go see. All right, before we get out of here, we got to do trivia. We've got to do trivia. It's going off the head coach this week. We did it last week with Samford. We're doing it with Kenny Dillingham as well. The question was this, okay, Sydney? You can venture a guess in here if you want to. Okay. Kenny Dillingham was an offensive coordinator at what SEC program for 1 year and led them to their best ever recruiting class, according to 247? I'll give you a hint because you dedicate your time every week. It's a team that Baylor's already played this year.
Oh, well, then that's easy.
Is that a good enough hint?
That's really good.
It was the Auburn Tigers. Scotty B, the Baylor King, back-to-back days, getting it right. At some point, Scotty's going to be a dynasty here, man. I don't know. I might need to, when other people get it, I'll have to shout them out too. Because Scotty B, he's always at the premiere. He's always getting it right. You're too good, Scotty. You're too good. Okay, but today we transition to another Kenny Dillingham question. So he used to coach for Memphis under Mike Norvell and then went to Auburn. But when he left Auburn to follow Mike Norvell to Florida State and become his offensive coordinator, the question is, whom did he replace as Florida State's offensive coordinator? First one to get it right in the comment section below or tweeting at us at Locked On Baylor gets a shout out on the next video. And I would think our fans will probably know who this is, I would have to say. So first,
I feel like I should probably know who this is, and I can't think right now. But I'm going to blame that on my own Monday blues over here because today's my Monday.
And you're really focused on the bear coat too.
I'm so focused on the bear coat. That's all I've been thinking about. So I'm going to think about that one.
Well, Sydney, thanks so much for coming on again. Really appreciate it. You bring the midweek madness in such a good way. That's a very positive thing.
I like to be the bear coat for Locked On Baylor.
I need that in the middle of the week. You know, I need to get pumped up about something in the middle of the week.
Let's go.
It's in between breaking down a game and before previewing the next one. So I actually really like that. I really like that analogy. Of course, you can find Sydney Wicker on everything they're doing at KCEN Channel 6 and the 6 Plus app.
You know it.
I know it. I just always think it's like plus or now. Okay, I got it. Anyway, leave your comments in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. And we will see you on the next edition of your favorite show, Locked On Baylor.